I'm back at Harvard for the first time since graduation for my 10-year college reunion. No job, living with my parents, and showing up alone. But somehow, this is the most peace I've ever felt. After years of chasing success, I finally feel enough. Hi, I'm Yuks. I went down the path of prestige. I went to Harvard, I worked at Goldman Sachs, and then at a unicorn startup abroad, before starting an adult gap year after getting laid off. This video is for anybody who's ever found themselves in a comparison trap. I'm gonna share what I learned about comparison and what helped me stop. Maybe you haven't gone to college, maybe you don't have reunions, but I think we've all experienced this feeling of walking into the room and wondering, are these really my people? When I first came to campus, I felt so out of place. I just made the misguided decision to cut off all my hair. That made me feel a little awkward when I finally got to campus. When I got to Harvard, I wondered, why me? Sure, I'd worked hard to get here, but then I met my classmates, and I'd become a small fish in a big pond. I didn't feel like I could compare. I worked at Goldman, then at a unicorn startup. I was climbing the ranks. Then I got laid off, and all those times I thought, maybe I should step off the treadmill. Suddenly, I didn't have a choice. And I thought, okay, finally, this is a chance to finish my novel. But I didn't. I didn't even finish a draft. Turns out I wasn't ready. And now I might have just traded in the 9 to 5 for a YouTube grind. But still, I feel better. Like I'm still laying the foundations for a new life. You know that feeling where you get everything you wanted and you just can't believe it's real? And then as soon as you accept that it's real, you suddenly want more. It's not enough. Yes, I was grateful for what I had, but it was also really easy to adapt. But adaptation works the other way around too. Now that I'm laid off, I've adapted to the lows of feeling like I'm not contributing to what I need to do. I'm not building my career, but I feel okay about it. The path may be unclear, but with everything I try, I learn something new, and I have a clearer idea of what's ahead. While I've been here, I don't even think we mean to flex, and sometimes it just comes out. You're just trying to let someone know things that are just milestone moments in your life, and then it comes off as a humble brag. I'm sure I've said things that are off-putting just in the first 2 hours of checking in, because there's that little that feeling where you say something and you're like, yeah, that sounded annoying. That didn't match how I was feeling inside. Inside, I was like, that's cool. On the outside, amazing. Amazing, awesome. I don't think people mean to put you down and make you feel like you're comparing. Like, I think there's just something inside that gets triggered a little bit. It's kind of funny since I've been here. I've had classmates come up to me, not many, but 1 or 2, and just say, I saw you on my feed. And that was actually really cool. And I could tell I was getting a little puffed up from that. The moment there's a little bit of doubt, needing to defend it, like, hey, actually I am doing well. But hey, I'm also figuring it out at the same time. Now, when you're in this kind of space, it is natural to compare, and even if you leave, because you think you're in their league, but maybe you're not. Maybe you're comparing yourself to someone who is not in your league because they're playing a different sport. But I realized that when everybody's playing a different game, that feeling can be freeing because you know that their score has nothing to do with yours. Look, some of my classmates ended up becoming Olympians. It would be absurd to feel bad if you didn't become an Olympian, right? I could just be realistic and think, I'm never gonna be a 3-time gold medalist or a best-selling memoirist. I will just change my reference group. And the only person that I need to worry about is whoever is in my level. I went back to my college reunion after 10 years. It brought up a lot of big feelings, but it also made me think of the small stuff, like an ice cream card that I never used. I'd kept it all those years, thinking, eventually I'll come back. The really cool thing about being back here is that it doesn't feel like that much time has passed. So sure, 10 years have passed in between, and we can all talk about what's changed. But that feeling when you run into someone, it feels the same. The environment hasn't changed. So there's still things about here that are still me from freshman to senior year. And all of that feels like it's a role. But at the end of it all, we all go home to the people who see us actually living day to day, not performing, not trying, just there. Not everything that came up was deep or nostalgic. Some of it was just weird. Someone told me once, it's cool how involved you are in this club, even though you don't need to be. And I asked what he meant by that. And he said, well, I'm so invested because all my friends are here. And it stung, realizing that he didn't see me the way I saw myself. I thought I'd come here to make friends. I thought I was making friends by putting so much time in. And it really hurt to realize that was not the case. The wild thing is, I actually forgot about this story and went back to the social club to see, hey, maybe I'll connect with someone. And when I got there, I looked around and realized, oh, right, none of my actual friends are here. So I left. I left to where my friends actually were. This might not sound like a big deal, but for me, it was a sign of growth that I tried again and I learned to walk away sooner. I'm getting better at learning where to linger and where to leave with grace. You don't have to get it perfect. The win is realizing when it's not working and then choosing something else that is. At some point, it's okay to decide, I don't want to keep proving that I'm worth knowing. I want to spend my time with people who already know this. It's easy to chase meaning in the big stuff, career, family, a partner. But maybe the real work is staying present for the small stuff, like noticing when somebody is reaching out and then deciding to try back. I had this moment at the very end of the last night where everybody gathered on the steps of Widener Library to eat food after a long night out. And when I finally showed up, I didn't see my close friends there. But I'm glad I went anyway because I tried. It felt like closure. Not every attempt is going to land perfectly. I might get the timing wrong. I might not end the night the way I thought I would, but sometimes you just try. You learn when to stay and when to leave, and maybe next time you'll catch the moment right on time. For me, the real growth isn't doing it perfectly, but giving yourself permission to try again or move on if it wasn't right. Not every connection works out, not every conversation gets you closer, but you still showed up, you still tried, and that should mean something. I like the idea of protecting your peace. And I saw one girl who really just stuck with her close friends the whole night. And initially I thought she was being kind of distant, but then I realized maybe she's just protecting her peace by sticking around with the people who make her feel comfortable, who feel like home for her. I had a home base this weekend, friends that I felt comfortable being around, just being myself. And it made me feel like I could just go off and catch up with all sorts of friends. And then when I wanted to, I always had the option to come back to my home base. I kind of bounce around a lot, talk to a lot of different people. But when I need something grounded, I always come back to the same people. The same friends are my anchor. Even if I'm not by their side the whole night, they're the friend that I always come back to. Maybe not everyone wants to be somebody's home base friend, but I think that connection is special and maybe even rare. So when you do find someone like that, I hope you treasure it. If returning to some moment that felt big for you, I'm sure you all have a place that feels like it led to an inflection point in your life. And so if returning to it feels like a mixed bag, I hope you remember you're not alone. We're all sorting it out. And I hope next time it's a little lighter, that you'll know who you are better, you'll know who your people are faster, and you'll stay closer to the people who feel like an anchor for you. The nostalgia is hitting so hard.